Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson and I'm founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show, I have an interview with Peter Mahoney, founder and CEO at marketing software Plannuh. Hope you enjoy it. I'm here with Peter Mahoney from Plannuh.
From Plannuh, that's right.
Based in Boston.
Yes.
And a pretty new business. Tell me what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we're making a product that does cloud-based management of your marketing budget. So it's based on a problem that I experienced personally over several decades of struggling with managing spreadsheet after spreadsheet. I decided there had to be a better way, so that's why we built Plannuh.
So this is coming out of your experience as a marketer working with spreadsheets.
That's right. An interesting thing happens with spreadsheets. They spawn other spreadsheets, right? It's like this weird population explosion, right? So this is how it happens. This will probably be familiar to you.
I think so.
You start with a marketing plan, right?
Yeah.
And a marketing plan usually has your business goals. What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And that ends up in some document. Sometimes it's a PowerPoint deck. Sometimes you put it on a binder and stick it on your shelf. And then after that, you create a budget. And your budget is usually a spreadsheet that's chunked up into pieces that says, I'm going to spend this much on that product line, this much on that particular tactic, this much on that department. And then you roll that spreadsheet out to the managers of those individual budgets. And then what do? They create their own spreadsheets. And they've got their specific plan that's in some different format. And then they plan an event, and they've got a different spreadsheet for an event with all the details they're managing, and you're in spreadsheet hell. So as a result, you've completely lost the thread between your original business goals and what you're actually doing and spending. So not only are you disconnected from your original intent, but you have no visibility and control into what's going on. You don't know what's committed, what's been spent already, and you've just lost everything. And that was the problem I experienced, and I really wanted to fix.
Fantastic. So we're here at SaaSta in San Francisco. Blue skies, warm. Not so warm in Boston.
No, it's a little colder there.
So is this a solution built particularly for SaaS marketers or any marketers?
It's really built for any marketer, and I'll tell you the problem is universal, although we're trying to be smart and focus our business, and we're really starting to try to solve the problem for small to medium-sized organizations at first. But an interesting thing is happening. The interesting thing that we found is that there are a lot of groups within big companies that are interested, and because they just don't have any good tools that are available. But we're really starting with small to medium businesses. Many kind of marketers can benefit from the tool. The people that I've focused on first are the ones in my personal network, and I've spent 30 years in tech. Yeah. So a lot of the early beta users we have now are in tech, but there are people in nonprofit, there are people in healthcare, there are people in legal, they're sort of all over the place.
So there's a huge, totally addressable market space for this.
Exactly, but we want to focus first. So we're sort of small to medium size, tech first, but really applies to a broad segment of users.
So just thinking a bit more about that, who are the competitors in your space?
Well, the biggest competitor by far is spreadsheets, right? And that's really the way I look at it.
Yeah.
There are a few kinds of solutions to this problem. If you're a giant organization, you may use SAP or something similar, and that's not.
But that's not mass market.
No, that's not mass market. You use a spreadsheet, and frankly, you can do a pretty good job with a spreadsheet, but it breaks over a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But most people, actually about 99% of people, as far as I can tell, use some form of a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Then there's some specific products that focus on a category called marketing performance management.
Yeah.
So there's some really good solutions from companies like Allocadia is a nice one. Hive9 makes a product in this area. I'm taking a different approach. Those companies tend to focus very much on the end-to-end marketing performance, and they tend to be a top-down, everybody deploy it kind of solution.
Right.
I'm taking much more of a Slack or Dropbox model to the world.
Bottom up.
We're bottom up. We're free to start, so the first user is always free.
Right.
And if you only have one user, it's always free. And I think that's the way that people will adopt solutions like this.
Sure.
So there's no direct competitor. There are alternatives that people have out there. But I think I'm going after the piece of the market that can't or won't deploy a big top-down solution and isn't satisfied with their spreadsheet. And I think there are a lot of people that fit in that category.
I think there's a ton of people. It's quite interesting how often I come across younger marketers, and their biggest problem is understanding spreadsheets.
Yeah.
They can do the marketing, but sometimes when you've got budgeting and stuff like that, old guys like us were brought up on Excel.
Yeah.
But it's all in Google Sheets now, and they're like, how do I drive this? So if you've got if that's a solution for that, or makes their life a bit easier, then yeah, because you can get really bogged down in that stuff.
Absolutely, and the goal, especially for either younger marketers or people who are doing marketing as an aside because they're doing multiple things within their company, one of the things that we want to do is add more specific recommendations and advice around what people should do.
That is cool.
So part of what we've done is, and the thing that I get excited about, having run marketing organizations for a long time, I like helping people be better marketers. So we think of, our mission in life is to provide simply better marketing and simply smarter marketing.
Is that your strapline?
Yeah, we're experimenting with it a little bit. And
how about we hate spreadsheets?
Yeah, that's just too negative. But I think the idea of giving people advice around what to do. The other thing that we're doing, because we're this cloud-based solution where we've normalized a bunch of data, we can give people benchmarks.
Yeah.
So being able to get a sense for what you're doing in spending and how does that compare to other people that look like you, and even more notably, how does that compare to companies that look like you but are really successful?
Yeah.
Right? Those are the kinds of things that I think are going to be really valuable. So is that going to be kind
of some anonymized benchmarking?
Absolutely,
feature in there? Cool.
Yeah, so the idea is how do you compare to your peers?
Yeah.
And
so
how
is
do
it
you
by
compare
sector or revenue or spend, budget?
Yes. So as we get more and more data, we're going to be able to have a very granular view. And again, because our whole business model is focused on super low friction, really easy to deploy. Literally, it takes less than 5 minutes to set up, and you can start working in your budget for the first time. So it's trivial to get going. We think that we're going to get a lot of data that's going to really benefit our community because they'll have a better sense of what other people are doing and where they're seeing success.
That sounds great. So you guys at the moment are still in beta, is that
we
right?
Yeah. So we've got sort of a two-phase beta that's going on. We've got what we call our friends and family beta now, which is a relatively small set of a couple of dozen companies using invite only at this point. I've got a very large list of people who have signed up who want the beta. And I'm slowly letting more and more people in, so people should feel free to sign up and opt into the beta if they want it. And we're going to open up the aperture, and then within the next couple of months, we're going to make it wide open as a beta product, so people will be able to use it as long as they use it in this beta form. And then sometime later in the spring, we'll have sort of the final commercial release of the product, or the first commercial release of the product, of course. So that's the plan.
That's fantastic. And so, when did you guys start out, and how long has it taken you to reach this point?
It depends on when you think about the beginning, right? I've been thinking about the problem for years. So I've been framing out the way that I do this exactly for a
10
long
years
time.
In the making.
I've been specifically working with my co-founders around building the model and the concepts out over the last couple of years. We've been in development for about a year now. And so we're about a year in, so it'll be a little bit over a year of actual hands-on keyboard development after we're done with the specification. Yeah, so that's about what it took.
Great. I mean, that sounds like a really fast time to me, but I guess it has to be.
Yeah,
it's the way of the world.
It is the way of the world, and it's amazing building products these days because I mean we're on Amazon Web Services, and it's building the infrastructure to build a product is incredibly fast. So it's been really quick to get to the point where we could be really productive with our development team building the product out. And it really shrinks time to market, which is exciting. And of course, as a SaaS product, being at SaaSter, you have all the advantages of just the real-time feedback around what people are using and where they're getting stuck, and you have the ability to optimize things very quickly on the fly, which has been really exciting.
Fantastic. So we were talking earlier, and we were both saying that this is our first time at SaaSter. What are you looking to get out of this event, this conference?
So I'm looking to get a few things. I am really interested in sorting out how people have driven their growth strategy, and growth is a really common theme here at SaaS.
I think it's the only theme, isn't it? It's either
pretty much
grow it or sell it.
Exactly. I'm very much interested in growth, and I've always been fascinated by sort of the math around growth. I'm kind of a geek by
You're a marketing
background.
Geek.
I am a marketing geek.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's funny. I have a blog called nerdcmo.com.
I might have seen that.
And I have a degree in physics and computer science. So
you are proper.
I'm sort of a
geeky.
geek. But I like the analytical, numeric approach to defining growth, and there's some really great ideas here around how people have driven that growth, and especially because this kind of product I think is going to be super successful if we can really drive that bottom-up groundswell kind of growth. And it's different from, because again, I think people have approached these problems before with these big, giant top-down solutions. And to me, I
think the whole thing
I
with
think
complexity.
And as a result, most people have hundreds of customers, and I think we should have hundreds of thousands of customers. Because I think this is a problem that's universal. So if we can find a way to get the word out and get a good experience for people and get people just signing up and growing the business, then I think we'll get there very quickly. That's the idea.
Fantastic. I hope you do, and I'm really looking forward to watching the progress of the business as you go through spring and into open beta or launch or whatever, soft launch or whatever you're calling it. So you've got a ton of experience in marketing, going way back to, was it IBM where you started out?
Yeah, I started my career at IBM. I spent the last 13 years at a software company called Nuance. They're the people that make voice recognition
dictation stuff.
But dictation and healthcare products and customer service apps. I was the chief marketing officer there. It's about a $2 billion public company. And I learned a lot there because during my time there, in 13 years, we acquired over 100 companies.
Wow.
Which is pretty mind-boggling. And I had the opportunity to work with lots of different companies who came from different places and all struggled with the same stuff. So that's one of the things that really validated to me the need for what we're doing.
You must have learned a lot.
And it really built on my interest for mentoring and helping marketers be better marketers. And that's what I really like to do. And so that was a great experience. But I've been doing this for a very long time, and really excited to figure out how to take my experience and expertise and codify it literally.
So during that career, you must have had some great marketing highs and some fantastic lows. Anything you want to share with us that springs to mind? Because people always talk up, the amazing highs and whatever, but behind it, there's always a lot of
a lot of lows.
Trying and failing.
Exactly. Well, it's funny. One of the things that was had this combination of high and low for me was I spent a lot of time running the Dragon software business. Dragon is the speech to text direct-to-end user sale that Nuance made. So I was not only the CMO for the company, but the general manager for that business. So I was in charge of that business. And I doubled the business over about a 4-year period, which was really exciting, through a pretty heavy investment in demand generation that the company was very supportive and generous in supporting. And we had some great successes in that. But we had a couple of colossal failures. And the one big thing that I found out is really hard is physical retail. We actually...
They're all box on in-store stuff.
So we set up 1 year when we were really growing, because we had a lot of holiday sales, because people would buy Dragon as a gift. We set up a mall kiosk program where you could give demonstrations in a physical kiosk in the mall, and it was a great idea, and it was really well executed, and it didn't work at all.
Was that because it was a noisy environment like this?
No, it was actually, that was a really impressive part of it, is that it worked really well, even in a noisy environment. I think the problem is that it came at sort of a difficult time when people were buying less and less packaged software, right? Yeah. This is right when mobile was starting to take off and apps were starting to take off. And I think it just wasn't a category that spoke to the typical mall viewer. So I think it was probably the wrong target. It was a clever idea to solve a problem of getting a demonstration in front of people in a new channel, but it just didn't work. It didn't work at all.
But at least you tried it.
We did. One of my favorite things that we did is we had a ongoing campaign called I Speak Dragon, which was basically a customer story contest that we ran every year. And every year we ran a contest where our customers would submit a story about the impact that Dragon has had on their performance, their life, etc. And we would get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these stories. Dictated, interestingly, right?
Was this incentivized?
The winner won free Dragon for life. Right, so it wasn't, we had surprise, but it wasn't a huge thing. People love to tell their stories, and literally we'd be sitting around reading these stories bawling because there are these total, emotional tear-jerker kind of stories, how Dragon really, the productivity stuff was really nice, but seeing how it really enabled, people with disabilities who couldn't otherwise participate in life, it was an amazing thing. And it created just this incredibly impactful content for us. So it showed the value of leveraging your user community to create really compelling, incredibly genuine, sincere content. So that was one of the favorite things that I did during my career there. That was a lot of fun.
That sounds brilliant, really insightful. I really like the idea and how it was executed and worked. And the retail, the mall failure is, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? Unless you try these things.
Yeah, so, I love to experiment, by the way, and I think I
gathered that.
The idea
all good marketers do.
Yeah, I think the idea you should always have a challenger, right? And I think that idea is really important. So.
Yeah, it is, and even more so nowadays. So, you're a busy guy. You're even busier now than ever, I imagine. What is it that you do that allows you to, stay mentally fresh, focused, whatever? Because you can be torn into many pieces, different directions, just working hard. How do you cope with that? What coping strategies do you have?
Well, it's interesting because I work a lot, and I'm on, and my mind is going 24/7. And literally, I wake up in the middle of the night, and I have my iPhone next to me, and I have, I'm sending notes to myself about features, right? So I'm thinking about it all the time. I mean, it's just nonstop. Yeah, exactly. Consciously, subconsciously, whatever. It's just nonstop. And it's funny, the difference now from doing my own thing and building my own thing versus working at large companies for a lot of years is it's all mine. So there's an excitement about it.
Yeah.
So I wish I had a lot of free time. I do spend free time on. I love to travel with my wife. We like to hike. We spend a lot of time with our kids. I've got 3 kids, 16, 19, and 21. So we enjoy that kind of thing. And but I don't have as much free time as I'd like to right now. I think
you're enjoying the challenge of
I'm enjoying the challenge of building
new
this
business,
thing.
And I think that when you're at that early stage, it's so exciting that, like you say, you're waking up in the night, you're making notes. It's not a problem at all. It's
right.
It sounds great, and I'm really I need to check this out.
Yeah, great. I hope you do.
Yeah. Thanks very much for your time, Peter. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Super. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Peter. For more info on Plannuh, please visit www.plannuh.com. Next week, I'll be talking with Christina Hall, Head of Marketing at Leadfeeder. For more info about this show and to get our links to iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher and YouTube, please visit www.47insights.com/podcast. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, get in touch via that page. Until next time.